Hello everyone, welcome to the video, and today we are going to talk about scikit-learn, which is a Python library mainly used in the fields of machine learning and data science. Scikit-learn, popularly known as sklearn, is a library that helps us to do machine learning tasks in a much simpler way, as it provides models, as it provides implementations of that in its library, which we can use to find predictions of the data that we provide the program. So basically, what does machine learning do? We provide data by our programs, and their job is to find patterns or predictions based out of that data. So scikit-learn is that library that gives us the leverage or give us the functionality to use its libraries or use the modules that it has to find those predictions that we want from that data. Okay, so in this video we'll see the definition of sklearn, what it is, why is it used, and the use cases, examples, and then we'll write a program towards the end where we'll see how scikit-learn is implemented. So instead of using a ready-made dataset that scikit-learn provides, we'll be using our own CSV file that will have the data of a few people, let's say of student data, in which there will be 3 inputs and it has to predict the Y output. So that program will take the CSV file, take the input, predict the output, and we can showcase that or we can see that via charts or via the histograms. So this video will cover the basics of sklearn, its use cases, and then we'll implement it via the program. Now let's move ahead.
Scikit-learn is a Python library used to build and use machine learning models easily. So what essentially is a model here? So model is nothing but a mathematical program that learns patterns from the data that we provide us via the program, and it has to make predictions or decisions on the new or the unseen data that is provided to us to check how accurate are the predictions. Okay, so we do not explicitly program it for this task. We just provided the data, we use the models, and then it is given new data in which we see how accurate are the predictions. Alright, so for that first we provide input, then it predicts the output out of that input. Okay, and in between what happens is that it learns the patterns. So if the predicted output is different from the actual output, it learns the differences, makes predictions again, makes it accurate, makes itself accurate via feedback, changes its parameters, and learns to get more accurate over time. Okay, so the common type of models that we use are supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and deep learning. Supervised learning is trained on labeled data in which the correct answer is already known, commonly used for regression and classification. Unsupervised learning is the unlabeled data to discover hidden structures. And for deep learning, we use advanced models that generates entirely new content such as text, images, or audio by finding patterns in large data sets. Okay, so this is the definition. So we can use the mental model as Python plus ready-made ML algorithms. Okay. So moving on to the next slide. Instead of writing mathematical algorithms from scratch, in the program we use the line model is equal to kn neighbors classify. This is a KNN algorithm. So this is a KNN or the K nearest neighbor algorithm of supervised learning that predicts the nearest or the similar data points existing very close to each other. So instead of writing mathematical algorithms from scratch, we use the implementations directly by writing model is equal to the model name, and the pre-built implementations are there in scikit-learn. We use that directly with the name of the so what model. It actually provides? It provides us the functionality with examples in which the first is classification, regression, cluster preprocessing, and model evaluation. So classification is sorting out things into categories such as spam detection, which is an example, which means the email I've just received, is it spam or not? If a student has given exam, will he pass or not? So kind of a classification where we can classify yes, no, or classify based on the program. Then there is regression, which means predicting continuous values. So in classification, we can categorize that yes, no, 0, 1, or it's spam or not spam. But in regression, it's a continuous value, which means ki there is no fixed value for something. So if we predict a house price of a house, then it cannot be a fixed value. If we predict the revenue of something, or if we predict something which is a continuous value, then we can use regression there. Next is clustering, which is grouping similar data types or grouping similar data points together without labels. So like if we are buying something from our e-commerce website, so there are a kind of customers who like a similar kind of a thing, so the company groups them together and gives them recommendation of a similar kind of a thing that they can purchase next time. So this is a customer grouping. Customer patterns are seen, and where they can group, they group and recommends them their new products. So this is clustering. Then there is pre-processing, in which we clean and we scale our data, which means whatever data we get, it's not important that it's clean. It can have missing values, it can have duplicate values, it can have like some have gibberish values. So we have to clean and prepare the data for scaling so that it can provide us the correct prediction to encode or to handle the missing values. We use pre-processing, right? And next is models evaluation, where the we use different tools to find the accuracy. So there are many tools that we can use in sklearn from different models that we've just seen, and to we compare them to find the accuracy, we tune them to validate their performances using different techniques, and then based on that, the most accurate one is taken through the model evaluation. So this is provided by sklearn, where we can use the different functionalities, and based on that we can choose what we want to do. So what sklearn is mostly used for? So this is mostly used for business machine learning, such as predicting whether a customer will purchase a particular product or not, whether the prices should be optimized, or whether if a customer is interested in this product, then so will he buy this product or not. So this is a kind of a business machine learning where customers churn or optimizing pricing is evaluated. The next is analysis, in which patterns and relationship between structured data is seen, finding the patterns and the relationship between them. Predicting systems, in which we build models that forecast outcomes, such as a weather system, in which it will forecast what will be the weather for the next few days or next month. So we build models such as the predicting systems, and a structured data sets such as tables or spreadsheets or databases. So sklearn works with structured data sets, in which can be in tabular format, in spreadsheets format, or in database formats, and so on. And it's not usually used in ChatGPT like systems, because data may not be structured there, it's scattered. Sometimes it's not even in a format that is understood. So we use deep learning frameworks like Python or TensorFlow there. Large language models, they require billions of parameters and they do not work with one or two parameters. So large language models is very, scikit-learn will be extremely slow for large language models. So they require as they require billions of parameters and specialized infrastructure, so they also use deep learning models. And generative deep learning, in which image recognition is done, or which the voice recognition or different kinds of things are being made under deep learning. So sklearn does not work there, and there too neural networks or gen AI models are being used. Okay, so this is the use case for scikit-learn. So now that we have covered the theory part of our video, it's time to write our first sklearn program, in which we will be providing our own dataset or our own CSV file with raw data, and the program has to predict the output, and we'll see how we can do that in this program. And in the end, we can also visualize that or see that through matplotlib and through histograms or to charts. Okay, so now let's create the program to see how this works. So now we'll write the sklearn program, and for that I have opened Visual Studio Code. This is the folder sklearn, and if you open this, there is student.csv data that we have. So this is the data of 101 students, in which it is the columns that I have used are hours studied, attendance that they are present, the previous score, and the final score. So we'll be providing three inputs here, which is hours studied, attendance present, and previous score. And the program has to predict the final score when we give them the new data. So they'll train on this data and then we'll be testing them on new data in which it will predict the final score. Okay, so instead of using a preloaded dataset that scikit-learn has, we have used our own CSV here, so to better understand how the program works. So before creating a file here, first of all, what we'll do is that we'll create a virtual environment here to install the required dependencies, and then we'll create the file. So in the previous projects also, we have created a virtual environment and installed the dependencies required there, as it helps to isolate the environment and isolate those dependencies. So this is helpful if you are using multiple projects at the same time, or if you are working on multiple projects and those dependencies differ by some extent. So having a different environment helps you to isolate them and work without having any problem. So to create a virtual environment, what we will do is that we'll write Python and venv virtual environment and the name. The name I'll keep it here as sk, and this has been created here. And to activate the code and to activate, we'll write source name of the virtual environment slash bin slash activate, and this will activate the virtual environment. If you are on Windows, the code remains same, just some slashes will change. The name of the virtual environment slash scripts and activate. So this will activate the environment on Windows, right? So once our virtual environment is activated, now it's time to install the required dependencies, and for that we'll write pip install the dependencies name numpy slash, not no comma, numpy pandas matplotlib and scikit-learn. Okay, so you can also keep this as a requirement.txt file as here, and just pass the command here pip install slash r read and requirements.txt, and that will read the requirements file and install what dependencies you have written there. Okay, and once you press enter, all those dependencies will be downloaded here. This will take a little bit of time. Once you are done, we'll first clear the screen, and then we'll also see what dependencies we have here by using the command pip list. So I'll first move it upwards so you can see whatever you have here. Now, okay, so now it's time to create the file here. So I'll keep the name as predict.py, and the first line to write is import pandas as pd, and press enter. So next we'll do is that we will read the CSV file, and for that we'll write df is equal to pd dot read CSV, and the name of the file here is students.csv. So okay, okay, this is the error. Read underscore CSV here, and print df.head 10. Okay, and we'll run this program by passing the command python, the name of the file predict.py, and this has given me the first 10 rows and columns of the CSV dataset that we have, in which it is hour studied, attendance present, previous score, and the final score. So these are the top 10 rows. This will help you to know what kind of data set you are working on, and this is a student data that we are working on. So once we know the once we have read and knew the CSV file, what we'll do is that we'll first create two variables x and y. In x, we'll be using or we'll be entering the columns hours studied, attendance present, and the previous score. And in y, we'll use the column final score. So the program work is to predict y when we give it the new data. So here we have used the pandas functionality. We have already covered pandas in our previous videos. You can check that video out. I'll drop the link in the description to understand about pandas. So now what we'll do is that first we will be creating two variables here, x and y. In x, we'll be entering or saving the hours studied, attendance present, and the previous score values. And in y, we'll be saving the final score. So the model or the program will be trained on the values of x, and it has to predict the final score on new data, right? So first of all, we'll write capital X here is equal to df and the name of the columns that we want. So first it's hour study, attendance present, percent, and the previous score. Okay, and in y we'll be using the value of final score here. Okay, if you have noticed, I have used capital X for the input values and small y for the output value. So why is it so? It's because in X values we can have, it can have multiple features, it can have multiple values. So this kind of represents a data of rows and columns, right? This can represent data of rows and columns where it can have multiple values, it can have multiple features. So this kind of represents a 2D structure of data which we call as matrix. So the linear algebra rule states that matrices should always have capital letters. So that is why we have used capital X here, and in we have used lowercase y here, which is also called as a vector. This represents a 1D column structure which contains single values like 1 comma 2 comma 3. So these are single values. So this kind of represents a vector structure here which has single values, because final score will have a single column here. So this will have like, doesn't, it will not have rows and columns. So that is why we have used small y here and capital X here. Okay, so you will find this convention in many programs that you see or that you create. So capital X is for matrix and small y is for vectors. Okay, so moving on. Now that the we have split the data sets into x and y, now we'll use the variables x train, and this is completing itself, but I'll write x test, then y underscore train and y underscore test. What it does, we'll see that in a minute. And the function to use here is train underscore test underscore split. It will take the value of x that we just created, the y value, okay, then the test size is 0. What it does, I'll just explain that. And random state is 42, right? Random, yeah. So this has automatically imported the model, that is from sklearn.model selection import train test it. So this is a module in sklearn, and what it does is that it splits the data into training and testing data. So this is the training data. This should be caps. This is the training data, and testing data, y training data, y testing data, and this function splits the data set. We have already taken 3 columns here and single column here. So this will first take the input value and it will take the value that it has to predict. Test size 0.2, which means whatever columns we have here, 80% of that will be used for training and 20% for testing. So this will break the column into 80 20%. So 0.2 represents key test size is 0.2, which means 20% of the data set will be used for testing. And random state is 42. That means when the data set is split, it needs a fixed point from which it can split. So if you do not write random state is equal to 42, 42 is a number that we have taken. It's a common number. You can change the number also, but every time the data set is split, if you do not mention random state and a number, then the splitting will happen randomly. So every time you test, the output may be different. So to get the same output, to see if the output is accurate or not, we use random state to split the data set exactly at the same point every time. Okay, so this is the line, and we'll be using the module train test split. Okay, now that we have used the model that we'll be using here is linear regression. Hmm. Uh, yeah, no semicolon, I'm sorry. Why are you using linear regression? Let's first understand that with the help of a graph. So for that, I open a whiteboard. So let's say there is a graph here, and this is the y-axis, and this is the x-axis. In x-axis, we plot the input values, and in y-axis, we have the predicted values. Right? So linear regression is used in areas where the input that we have given, and this student data set, the predicted value does not lie or is not a fixed value. That is, if a student is studying for these many hours, has this previous score, and the predicted score that the program finds, it's not necessary that it's a fixed point or it's a fixed value. It can vary. Some student can get 60 marks, some can get 80, some can get 70, some can get 90 based on the inputs. So this lies in a range. So linear regression is used in areas where the output values or where the predicted values lies in a range and they are not fixed values. Like it's kind of a regression problem, which means there are no fixed values. You have to predict the values and they can lie somewhere between a particular range. So you cannot predict a single value for that. For that we use linear regression, and this is a regression problem. So moving on. Now that we have chosen the model, the next step is to fit the values in this model. So for that we will be using the function model.fit. And what does fit do? Fit is the kind of command that trains the machine learning model to where it starts to learn from your data. It starts looking at the input features and starts making a guess and calculates the error and adjusts accordingly. So fit is the command which tells the model to start training itself. And here we'll use the variables that we have used, x train and y train, right? So again, capital X and train and y underscore train. So so we'll take these two variables here. Whatever values you have, put it in x and the output in y. And every time this will check the predicted output, and if it's not close to the actual output, then it will again train itself and finally come to the actual output. And now to evaluate, we will use the variable y underscore predict here. Y underscore pred is equal to model dot predict. So the function of model, and inside it there is a function called predict, and here we'll use the variable x underscore test. So whatever we have values in testing, we use that to predict. That is why x dot test, because it has to predict the values on the testing data. It's training on 80% of the data, another 20% it has to test. So it will take the values of those 20% which is saved in x underscore test. So predict your values on the x test values and save it in y prediction. Okay. So once this is being predicted, so we have to print here. What we have to print? Let me write that. So we have done three imports here. Import numpy as np, and from sklearn.metrics import mean squared error, which is this function, and r2 score. So here the mean squared error is a function provided by the sklearn library which lives inside the metrics module. So here that is why we have imported sklearn.metrics. It lives inside this metrics module and provided by the sklearn library. So what does that mean square error do is that it measures the average squared error. That means error, which means a difference between the model predictions and the actual values. So whatever final score the model predicts here, so let's say the actual value is for example 83, but the model predicts it as 78. So there is a difference between the model predictions and the actual values. So what does mean squared error do, or MSE do, is that it evaluates the performance of the model by calculating how close its predictions are from its two values, and whatever difference it finds it squares it, that is multiply the difference with the difference itself. The mean squared error is the square of the error, which is 4 square, which is 16. So the mean square error is 16. You run this program every time if error are coming, or every time the final score and the predicted score has a difference, that difference is taken, squared and added, and in the final time average of that is taken out by mean squared error, and that is the MSE that is provided by the uh, program towards the end. So if you have a question that why do we square the errors here, because if the error is very large, let's say if the output is 83, the final score is 83 and the model has predicted it as 70, so the difference is 13. So 13 square is a very large number. So the reason for squaring the errors is that it punishes very large mistakes. So if the error is very small, that is if the error is, let's say the difference is just 2, so the error is 4. So that doesn't make any difference because little bit of differences is okay. But if the error is very large, so it punishes large mistakes. And the r square here, you cannot write r square, this is r square. So r square, what it does is that it measures how well the regression model fits your data. So if we have given this data set to it, so this will predict, or this will see how well the model that you have chosen fits your data. So it outputs a score, that is it finds best represents the percentage of the target variable, that is best predicts the percentage of the variable y that it has predicted to the values that you have provided, which is x. So this gives an output of the score that it finds कि this model was good enough or this model was not good enough. So this r square gives a score of the model that we have chosen here. Okay, so if it gives you 1, then this means this is a perfect model and this predictions match the actual values exactly with zero error. And it gives you a 0 score, which means ki this model is not good and this is equal to a mean. So the values lie between 0 and 1. So you will basically find r square scores between 0 and 1. So this gives you the score, right? So we have understood what does this do. Moving on. So till here, what we have done is that we have loaded the data set, we have split it, we have trained it. Now we have also evaluated it using the predict and using the mean square error and the score. Now it's time to give it the new data set for it to predict. For that, we use the variable new is equal to pd dot data frame, and here what we'll do is that we'll give the input values here, and here we have our studied, attendance present, and previous score. So we'll be giving three values. The first value is, let's say, 9. For our studied, attendance is 89, and the marks, let's say, is 50. Okay, and we specify here the columns so that it knows which column is which. Our studied, attendance present, and previous score. And here, percent. And to now we have to print it. This will use the function of model dot predict the value. What value? The variable that we have created here. Model dot predict the new value that we have used here. Yes, now it's coming. So here we see that RSME is 3.38, R2 is 0.90. That is very close to 1, which means linear regression is a good model for the program that we are writing here. And predicted score is 78.6, which means ki the hours studied, accordingly attendance present and previous score, the predicted score it gave was 78.6 based on the data that it already trained on. And RSME is very less, 3.38, which means that the errors were very less, and the R2 is also good, which means the model is good enough, right? So this program is working fine. And we have given it the data set here, and accordingly it has, according to this data set, it has trained itself and given us the predicted score. So even if we change the values here, let's say that I want the student has scored like not 50 but 70% in his previous exam. So what will be the output now? So in predict.py, if I run again, the predicted score is now 88.7, and this remains same because, and the prediction is printed through the predicted score here, the new values. Pull out the first value. If so, this was about prediction. Now we want to plot it on using Matplotlib to see it via charts or via the histograms of Matplotlib. So for that, what we'll do is that we'll create a variable x underscore plot, and every time for x we are writing capital X so that we know it's an input. And for here we'll use the x value of previous score. Okay, so it is suggesting me our studied, but I'll use previous score and not our studied. polyfit, what it does, I'll just explain. What does np.polyfit do? np.polyfit takes input values is the value of x. We have used x underscore plot, which takes the input value of previous score. It prints out a target value through y, and one is the degree here. So degree means fit a straight line here. I have used one, which means fit a straight line in the plot that you have, and for that we have used one. One is nothing but degree. So here we have using the matplotlib, sorry, numpy polyfit function, in which it will take the input value, take the y value and 1. Why m and b? M and b, if you use linear regression, the formula that we use in linear regression is y is equal to mx plus b. Y is the output that we have to predict, m is the slope, x is the input value, plus b is the variance. We are using mb here, so that whatever value we get from here, we use that for m as well as b too, because our motto is to find a straight line here. So now what we have done here is that we have taken a value of x plot, and from the input value it will take previous score. We have to find out m and b. M and b, we will be using np.polyfit function here to find m and b. Why? Because if you are using linear regression, a formula in linear regression is to find y is to through the function y is equal to mx plus b, where m is the slope, x is the input value, and b is the variance. So to find m and b here, we'll be using polyfit function here. And polyfit is a numpy function used to perform least squares polynomial on a set of data points. So whatever data points it we provide us, it finds the least squares polynomial fit, which means it finds the best fitting curve or a polynomial for the data by minimizing the errors between the data points and the curve. So if you have a curve here and you have the data points here, so if there are errors, so this function will minimize the errors by finding the best fitting curve or the best fitting line between the data points that you have and the curve and the line. So this will give me the m and b values. And why we need it? Because in the y prediction value, we have to find the best fit line using this formula only, mx plus b, where m is in here, which is the output of this and x plot that I am providing previous code, and b as well. So we these three lines give us the plotting, what to exactly plot and the values here. And once we have the values, we will plot it through the matplotlib function of plt.plot, plt.scatter. Okay, and the input here will be x underscore plot only, because that's the input that I'll be providing here, which is the previous score. We can also change that if you want to use some other value, the predicted output y. And for the distinction, we will use the color blue. The data points will be in blue color, blue, not blue, and the label that it will be given is data points, so that you can easily identify that these are data points. Okay, so once we have that, we have to now plot what? Plot the value of x underscore plot, then y underscore predict, that is the straight line that you want. Then color, give the color here as red, so that you know that what this is. And label this as best fit line. Best. Okay, we can also label the X labels, that is the horizontal axis. What do you want to name it? So we can use the X label as our studied, but in that our scenario, this is previous score. So we can name it as previous score. So you know what exactly does X value is saving. Then for plt.y label, for y axis, the naming is final score because this is what we are predicting. Okay, and this is single issue. Okay, and then the title of the whole plot should be linear regression because that's the model that we are using here. LINEAR, linear regression. And then we have used plt.legend here. This identifies and explains the visual elements. So it kinds of acts like a map for the viewer, where it will show you the colors, it will show you the symbols. So it decodes things so you can easily identify. And this is showing error because I have not imported. Check, save this and run again to see the results. Now you can see this is the linear regression that we have used the title here as linear regression. If I'll remove this so you can see plt.title linear regression. This is the complete map, the title. Data points here that we have seen as blue. So this is the X data points that we have from the table, from the CSV file. This is in blue. This the predicted values as well as the values. In red, this is the best fit line that it has given us. This is the previous score that we use as X value, X label, and for Y label we use final score, and this is the final score, and this has shown us the figure. So you can, if you see this graph, you can easily identify. This is a lot of data, but you can easily identify key what data point you have and the best fit line and what data you are dealing with. The model linear regression. All right. So I hope you like this video and I hope you like this program. If you found this useful, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and share us to your friends. Share us to the people you care about. Keep learning, keep growing. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much.